Colleagues and friends, education has created an amazing world around us. You know, if you think of our language, our culture, our economies, they're all the fruits of education around us. It's education that helps us live as ourselves, live with people who are different from us, and live with this planet. And it's education that helps us trust in the power of cooperation, grounded in rules and shared values now. But the education of the past has also left this world with some fundamental disconnects. You know, the disconnect between the infinite growth imperative and the finite resources of our planet, between the financial economy and the real economy, between the wealthy and the poor, between the concept of our gross domestic product and the well-being of people, between what's technologically possible and the social needs of people, and between our institutions and the voicelessness of many. I will not hold education responsible for all of this, of course, but let's never underestimate the power of education in shaping social development. If we want to build a better world through education, in the words of Dr. Chen, we need to build better education systems. We saw that even, tiny viruses can fundamentally disrupt our social systems. And the future will always surprise us. Climate change is going to disrupt our lives more than anything we've seen so far. Artificial intelligence challenges much of what we took for granted, also in education. And there's so many other powerful factors shaping our future now. Golden and Katz described that race between education and technology. Before the first industrial revolution, neither technology nor education made much of a difference for the vast majority of people. It was the first industrial revolution that moved technology well ahead of the skills of people and created huge social pain. We were not ready for this. But then we built schools that made us compatible with the norms of the industrial age, and it created generations of prosperity. But now we see artificial intelligence gathering pace and getting ahead of important human capabilities. Many young people with expensive university degrees have difficulties finding good jobs, while employers say, we cannot find the people with the skills we need. The task really is, to turn that once again around and make the future. Tomorrow's schools need to help people find out why they're here on this planet, what is important to them now, where they can make a real difference. It needs to help them, find out how to develop and discover their talents. With educators who are not just good instructors, but also good coaches, good mentors, great facilitators, creative designers of imaginative learning environments. But what makes us happy is not just our passion, but to make a real difference to the people around us. So education needs to do a better job helping learners understand what this world needs from them, and then to transform skills into better jobs, in better lives. Success in education is about building curiosity, the opening minds. It's about building compassion, opening hearts. And it's about courage, mobilizing our cognitive, social, and emotional resources to take action. And those are also perhaps our best weapons against the biggest threats of our times. Ignorance, the closed mind, or hate, the closed heart, or fear, that enmity of agency. In June this year, we asked young people in 14 countries what skills they consider most important for their future. As you can see, critical thinking, navigating ambiguity came out first. Social skills, self-awareness, respect for others came next, and creative thinking was also very highly rated. So how are our current education systems delivering on this? Well, Hong Kong is one of the world's most advanced education systems. In our global PISA test, students in Hong Kong get 10 out of 10 points in reading, in mathematics, and science. But that's not enough for tomorrow's world. Now, you see that students in Hong Kong are not that happy. They do not show enough of the emotional resilience that will that enables them to reinvent themselves when the world changes. And the quality of social relationships does not give them that connectedness that is so important. Let me bring you to the other side of the world, in Peru. You can see students in Peru still struggle with the academics. The education system has a long way to go to build strong academic outcomes. But you see students in Peru do show high levels of agency. They can get things done. They develop resilience. They develop strong social relationships. They see failure as an opportunity for growth. Now, when you look at these two countries, you may ask yourself, maybe we have to make some choice. Either we push students academically and then, we get poor social outcomes, or we focus on student well-being and then we end up in mediocrity. But you can find countries like Denmark that have been pretty good in reconciling cognitive, social, and emotional outcomes, and become confident that we can do better to develop education systems that are fit for this world of AI. The past was divided, with students and teachers divided by subjects and students separated by what we expect them to do in their life, with schools good at keeping students inside and the rest of the world outside. But the future is much more about integrating different experiences, making connections between ideas that seem unrelated, connecting the dots where the next big innovation is going to come from. Tomorrow's students will be today's startups. They will not, look for jobs. They will need to learn to create jobs. But then look at this. In our latest survey, 15-year-olds in almost all education systems for which we have data show lower levels of creativity than 10-year-olds. In just 5 years, it seems something happens that dulls rather than sharpens young people's creative potential. And too often education is built around compliance and conformity. We train our students to memorize facts, not challenge assumptions. We value efficiency over exploration. In doing so, we may extinguish the very curiosity, imagination, and originality that fuels innovation in this world. I'm a scientist by training, and it often breaks my heart when I see how even science is taught often like religion. We make people believe in some scientific theory, then we give them lots of exercises to practice this, and at the end, we test whether they remember our answers. It has nothing to do with science. Science is never about reproducing what we know. It's about questioning what we know. We need to ask ourselves some really tough questions. If AI is ready to do tasks as well or better than humans, would we want students still to learn this, or teachers to teach in those ways? We may find skills, which we want to place even greater emphasis on. Even if AI becomes very good at critical thinking, we want humans to do better on this. We might find other areas where, we want to keep the ideas, but approach them in different ways. And we need to find the courage to drop things that just are no longer relevant. AI is not going to answer those questions for us. AI is not a magic power. It's just an amazing amplifier, a great accelerator. It's going to amplify good ideas and good educational practice in the same way it amplifies poor ideas and poor practice. It can be the great equalizer, helping us power classrooms where every student, no matter their needs or background, has a real chance to succeed. We just heard from Korea, where this is now happening. Or it became the great divider, just supercharging privilege. AI can accelerate student learning or mislead students to just outsource their thinking. AI can empower teachers to become the most creative designers of innovative learning environments, or it can disempower them to become the slaves of scripted lesson plans. AI can help us reduce bias through better data, or it can calcify bias, encoded in systems we no longer understand. AI can connect a child in Hong Kong to a child in Houston or Hamburg, or it can silo us into echo chambers that just, amplify our own perspectives. AI is always, ethically neutral. but it's always in the hands of people who are not neutral. And where this ends up is therefore in our hands. The past was about teaching students answers. The future is about helping them iterate to better questions, putting into question what we took for granted, to advance from problem solvers to become problem finders, to attend to purpose rather than just to complete tasks, to embrace the new and uncertain rather than just sticking to known plans. Whenever students feel that, questions lead to trouble rather than to answers, something is fundamentally going wrong in education. In today's schools, students learn typically individually, and at the end of the school year, we test their individual achievements. But the more interdependent the world becomes, the more we need better collaborators, better orchestrators. At work, at home, in the community, tomorrow students need to have a broad understanding how other people live in different cultures, in different traditions, and how other people think, whether as scientists or as artists. And the foundations for this do not come naturally. We are always born with a sense of belonging to our families or people who are similar to us. But it requires good education to create that capacity to relate to people who are different from us, to extend our radius of trust to strangers. In tomorrow's world, students need to recognize interconnections, navigate ambiguity, reconcile tensions and dilemmas between equity and freedom, autonomy and community, innovation and continuity, efficiency and democratic process. And these days, it's sort of tempting to see artificial intelligence as a force that, steadily erodes human capacity, human agency. But this should not be a slow retreat, us giving us more and more ground to some algorithms. Education should help us to become so much more than the sum of isolated, automatable tasks. The rise of AI should sharpen our focus on human capabilities that cannot be reduced to code. Our consciousness, our capacity to navigate complex relationships, to exercise ethical judgment in uncertainty, to create something truly new. These are not just, beautiful words or some diplomatic ornaments. They are what education is all about, and they are the pillars on which we build our societies. And if education doesn't, protect such human capabilities with determination, AI could wash away the very foundations of our societies. And this is where the Yeadon Prize can make such a difference. Thank you very much.